Why is learning history in a traditional classroom ineffective? Whenever students talk about their subjects in school, history is often perceived as among the most boring of subjects. Probably the main reason why history has been considered as a boring subject is because of the traditional ways of how it is being taught in class. Typically, a professor or teacher would just stand in front of all the students and start reciting all the details of the topics. All those dates, places, names of prominent people and events that appear to be very difficult to memorize. Given that history is filled with all the interesting revelations and discoveries about the roots of the world and the human race, it can be said students indeed deserve to learn such relevant information in the most interesting and motivating manner of teaching. No first-hand knowledge when using secondary sources. Secondary sources alone do not represent first-hand knowledge of a subject or event.
Too much information. Another disadvantage when studying history is the sheer volume of work available. There are countless books, journals, magazine articles, and web pages that attempt to interpret the past. Incomprehensibility of academic secondary sources. Academic secondary sources can be hard to read and use technical terms that might not be understood or be too in-depth for the reader's needs and therefore boring. Lack of focus. Students' focus is set in the wrong direction, in taking notes rather than understanding and absorbing new concepts. This results in students' inability to grasp key ideas and concepts. Different learning abilities. A teacher's lecture is generally one size fits all. Not every student has the same pace of learning. While some students can follow the lecture with convenience, most of the others require time to digest the information that they are getting.
How we plan to use virtual worlds to teach history. Taking this concept of more effective learning occurring through interaction, our proposed idea is to take the education of history past the alienating approach it takes in the classroom to that of direct immersion of the user in virtual recreations of historic events and allowing them to experience these events along their given time frames. Self-directed learning through immersion. Moving away from reading about how the Allies landed at Normandy or the Russian retaliation at Red Square, the user can now be a part of the action themselves, see what those involved saw, experience what those present experienced, creating a total immersive environment for the user to actually bear witness to history unfolding before them. This will create a more personal experience, which will produce a better understanding instead of users just reading facts off a page. Users can view those iconic figures that made history in their defining moments. They can get a glimpse into a different era, view the impact the situation had on its environment, and how it differed from the way things look now. Formal teaching objectives. Our proposal, more specifically, would be to take users on a surreal experience through a battle in World War II. Users can trudge through trenches, see the actual weaponry and vehicles used, and the tactics employed by all sides involved. This will enable users to objectively view the actions of all sides involved and draw their own conclusions based on the facts and their own experience. We will then provide the conclusions made by the respective side as well as the revisionist history perspective. In order to enable formal teaching methods, we will use Second Life as a developmental platform and make use of features such as roleplay, scavenger hunts, guided tours, co-creation, simulation, quizzing, tutorials, and whiteboards. Users can communicate amongst one another in the action and ask questions and get other opinions on the events unfolding before them, creating a dynamic learning environment with all learners involved.
Whoa. Oh, hell no.